CloudConnexa admin user interface has a new look, and in this video we're looking at the a new look of the admin user interface. Also, we're going to talk about some of the features available in CloudConnexa right now and give an explanation of what these features are for. So as you can see, I'm logged into the admin UI of our CloudConnexas. The first page, as you can see, is the status page. That gives you an overview of what's happening on your environment. You can see the connections, online users, online networks, and so on. If you have device identity verification enabled, you can see that here, and then log streaming. We're going to talk about these two features in a couple of minutes. You can also filter the information down here by just choosing the time range if you would like to choose it, and then other values such as group, users, devices, network, and so on. The next thing I'm going to talk about is users here. As you can see, if you're familiar with CloudConnexa, this is a little bit different look than usual. You can see the users that are added to our CloudConnexa. Now, if you want to add a user, we can click on Add User. We get a pop-up. We can enter the information such as username, groups, and so on, and then Add User. If you need to edit a user, we just click on Edit button and edit any of the values. If you click on this padlock, that's a password management options, generate temporary password, force password change, and so on. Now, if you have two-factor authentication enabled, you click on this three dots, and then you get options of resetting two-factor authentication, clear trusted devices for two-factor authentication. Also, if you need to delete the user, you can delete the user here. Let's look at the groups. Groups, this is where you can create the groups. As you can see, I have some groups here. Again, click on Add Group if you want to add groups, and then enter group name, choose the region for that group, or you can leave it all region. Also, internet access, you can choose if you want to leave split tunnel on, off, or restricted internet access for this group, and then connect auth. Now, connect auth refers to setting up the authentication policy to be applied when users from a specific group attempts to connect via WPC. Now, there are three authentication policies for WPC connection attempts. Now, although all attempts are authenticated using the digital certificates included in the profile, the connect auth setting specifies if and when users should enter their credentials. Now, as you can see, the three options: no, basically user will not be asked for credentials during a WPC connection attempts. On prior auth timeout, that's the second option, user will not be asked for credentials for 24 hours after a successful WPC connection authentication. And then we got every time. Every time, basically, user will be required to enter their credentials for every WPC connection attempt. So you can choose that on a group level here. And when you're done with the selections, you can click on Add Groups. Now, if you want to edit the group at any time, you click on Edit button and change any of the values. When it comes to devices, this is where you can add the devices and provision them with the user group. Now, if you have DIVE or device identity verification and enforcement enabled, you have to tell the system what device a user can use to connect to the CloudConnexa. If we enable the device identity verification and enforcement here, for example, if I choose enforce, then we have to associate the UUID of device to a user profile, which we can do this here by clicking on Add Device. We gave a name, we can choose who's the user, and then we need to enter the UUID of that device. Just keep in mind that when we enable DIVE or device identity verification and enforcement, the user can only connect to WPC with the authorized device that we have provisioned with their profile. Let's look at the networks. This is where you connect your networks to CloudConnexa. As you can see, I already have two here. If you need to add another network, you click on Add Network. You can choose the option that it's relate to your situation. You can choose one or multiple. And then when you're happy with the selection, click on Continue and follow these steps to create your network. Applications are identified as resources addressable by domain names, as you can see on the screen, such as accounting.ovnlab.local, which I have here, or shared.ovnlab.local. These are accessible through CloudConnexa networks or hosts, including public and private websites, as well as SaaS applications, such as Salesforce, for example. Now, when it comes to IP services, basically IP services refers to the ability to access specific IP address range or IP address ranges, which is defined by routes. To enable access to an IP addressable service from a network, a route needs to be established. This applies to both public IP addresses or subnets that are reachable from a network and private IP addresses or subnets that are part of your network, basically. A connector is an unattended device that basically ensures constant connectivity to CloudConnexas. You can create multiple connectors for high availability and load balancing. It is recommended to select the region closest to the location where your connector will be deployed. The access visibility feature offers administrators a clear visibility for traffic flows within a WPC, delivering a detailed insights into the access patterns, including who accessed which resources, when it was accessed, and whether the access was permitted or denied based on the configuration of access groups. Now, you can filter this information again by choosing the time range and also choosing any of the values that you see on the screen. That brings me to access groups. Access groups basically control who has access to what resources. Now, you can see on the screen, I got the accounting, I got DevOps, marketing, and so on. Shields in the next feature I'm going to talk about, it's basically IDS and IPS and content filtering. So as you can see, the traffic filtering is enabled right now. Content filtering is not. If we want to enable any of them at any time, we can, for example, select that and then choose if we want to do monitoring only or monitoring and blocking. Once you select that, then you can configure it. You have multiple levels to choose, either basic protection, high productivity, safe browsing, or custom. There are 43 categories available for you to select or unselect. So as you can see right now, I have custom here and I selected all 43 categories. Now, at any time, if I want to configure an allow list or block list, I can do that here. So when it comes to traffic filtering, again, the same concept. You can either choose priorities or you can select it by categories. App Hop. Using App Hop feature of CloudConnexa, companies can easily establish an extranet to connect their services with business partners, suppliers, vendors, distributors, or even different departments. This platform enables the simple sharing of private applications between users. Additionally, for customers managing multiple wide area private cloud or WPC, CloudConnexas App Hub facilitates the effortless sharing of common applications across these networks, basically streamlining operations and communications. Now, if we go to API and logs and choose log streaming, this is one of the latest features that came online. Enables your IT infrastructure to gather event data from CloudConnexa, sending it to AWS S3 bucket, and from there you can export it to any of your favorite SIEMs, such as Splunk, Datadog, and others. These events can be connections, disconnections, and unsuccessful attempts to connect, traffic flows that are permitted and denied, access denial resulting from content filtering rules, access prevention due to intrusion protection measures, and so on. The last part of the admin user interface that we're looking at is going to be settings. Under WPC, you can choose the topology, for example, default region, and so on. When it comes to users, connection timeout, you can choose the values here. Connect auth, if you want to select that system-wide, you can do that here. Device alliance, device identity verification and enforcement, this is where you can enable it again. If I select every time an update, that's enabled basically. And then profile distribution, we can select if you want to do it automatic or manually. User authentication, if you have other identity providers, you can use it with CloudConnexa using SAML or LDAP. Also, two-factor authentication can be enabled here. DNS is where you can either configure your own DNS servers here that CloudConnexa can use, or you can add the DNS records manually under DNS records tab here. One last thing I'm going to talk about here is notifications. As you can see, you can set up or enable some notifications on CloudConnexa. For example, subscription limit exceeded. It's enabled right now. So if our subscription limits exceed, we get a notification. high subscription usage is at 80% threshold, and so on. So you can enable anything. If you're using LDAP for identity provider, then you can enable the LDAP server warnings as well. In order to do so, you can just click on edit, change any values as needed. So this was a quick video on the new admin user interface and description of some of the features in CloudConnexas. Thank you very much.